गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट. गना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है. Well, we're going to talk of something very interesting today. I just put a jigsaw puzzle into place and I thought, let me speak to you. Uh, it's all about US aggression, China's eclipse, and India's gain. Where? Latin America. And you have to understand this. Many things in geopolitics is a larger game, and we'll talk about that. But a bit about the budget today, which came out. I thought it was a good budget, pro growth, pro infrastructure, pro tourists, pro biopharma, pro education, a lot of push. The and industry, of course, industry has got a lot of I wouldn't say shops, but a lot of push. So I think things are okay. You'll naturally ask, so what about defense? Well, a lot of talk this much percentage increase in capex, all that in defense and capital expenditure, revenue, everything has gone up. But overall, it's not good. Let me be this thing. Overall, it's just about 2% of the defense overall GDP. The increase in the defense budget is consistent with the increase in the GDP. That's about all, right? So, but it has got its pluses and minuses. Maybe tomorrow, day after, I'll analyze it when I get the figures better. Because without figures, one shouldn't talk of a budget. But let me take you into Latin America, and where a lot of action is happening, and it's good for us. What's happening there is good, which I thought I'll put across to you. And it starts, it's not as if I've not spoken of this. I've spoken of this. I've spoken of it during the Venezuela crisis, everything. It's about this. This Maersk to take over Panama Canal port operation from the HK firm. Understand this. Very big move. Very, very big move. Maersk is which country? Denmark. Denmark is linked to Greenland. That's taking over Panama. And eventually, Trump will ensure that Maersk will take over Panama. So you see a mega move taking place by Trump. Everyone thinks he's a fool. He's got a plan and he's executing that plan. Okay. I'll okay, even here I'll talk of the mega picture of this, which is going on in Trump's mind. Trump, I think for this year, before the primaries are done, he wants to close 4 deals. One is Venezuela, second is Greenland, third is Iran, and fourth is Gaza. Even if he gets 3, his midterms are through. And he's got about 3 months to do that. Right? And 3 months is hell of a lot of time in geopolitics. We are learning that in January. What's happened so far? He's got Venezuela in his pocket, and we'll talk about this. A lot of people have different views. I have different view. I'm very firmly of the view Trump has locked Venezuela in his pocket. Greenland, they're heading to a deal, and I'll talk of that Greenland deal, everything a little later. Okay. Right? The Greenland deal is almost done now with this thing which I've shown you. Why? It was Denmark who was, not agreeing to a deal. But if you see the foreign minister of Denmark, he's in talks with USA. And he says our deal is on track. So there's a deal being worked out for USA in that. And USA is giving Denmark a deal in Panama. There's a corporate co. So that's done. Actually, I think Greenland is in his pocket already. Or half in his pocket. Let's see if unless there's a slip. Iran. He's pushing for a deal. And if he gets Iran, he's not interested in regime change. Let me be very upfront with you. If we think Trump is in for a regime change, forget. He didn't bother of a regime change in Venezuela. Why would he do it in Iran? What does he want from Iran? A nuclear deal, oil. If he gets Iran oil onto the market, and a nuclear deal of some kind from Iran, which is fully likely. Don't rule it out. Then he's home and away. He'll handle Gaza. Gaza is not a thing which he's too bothered about at this point. He'll handle that board of peace. Some people are joining, some are not joining. We will not join. We know that, but we'll come to that later. As far as he's concerned, Gaza is a done deal with that board of peace, and he'll trumpet it. Iran is the last domino to fall in this sequence of four dominoes. Right? Now, what has this done? Just think. If Iran oil comes into the market, Venezuela oil comes into the market, he squeezes Russia. Who gets squeezed? China. Please remember that. China gets squeezed big time because they have to suddenly pay. I mean, just think they were getting Iranian oil for $20 a barrel, and Venezuelan oil was about $30 off. And that too, they were not paying. This was against their loans, which they had given, and the interest. And they were taking it at a time when the interest only was being repaid, the principal was not being repaid. They were playing it very smart. So that's also gone. Russian oil is getting squeezed. Let's be very clear. It's getting squeezed. We can talk whatever we want about Trump, but he's doing it. I might not like him, but he's doing it. Okay. The fact is this. So now, let's look at the story here, because this story is very interesting and it gains India. It puts India on a good wicket. Strange things happen, but that's how it is. So I'll go for this with this story. I have to go back and get back. I have to go back 1 year and then talk of it. Look, we all knew these were the ports all around the globe, Chinese ports. Some are run by them, some are financed by them, various. Everyone thought, then can China use overseas ports for military purposes? That is the thing. Okay, in these ports, there were 91 ports where China owns a majority share, and other ports China did own a great share. I mean, a significant share, not a majority share. Right? Or out of this, about 34 ports, right, odd ports, were those which could be used for their military. That's very interesting, isn't it? If China can use 34 ports all over the world, it doesn't need bases. It can force its way through politically and use. Well, that's a different story. That's being wrecked right now. You have to understand China's halat. China is getting virtually, I think it's eclipsed virtually from, Latin America. Look at this map. I put some, let me enlarge it even further. Right? I put some stars on it. Okay, I missed putting a star on Brazil, but we have to put, and one below that, it doesn't come Argentina. See, the story starts with Trump's re-election. When he got re-elected, he very clearly said, I'm going to get control of Latin America. On that, he never had a doubt. Right from day one. And the first lot whom he put pressure on, first he put pressure on tariffs, on pressure through tariffs on Mexico. And Mexico caved in next day. And they said, oh, take care. And Mexico caved in for immigration, it caved in for fentanyl traffic, it caved in even for Chinese imports. Okay, very clearly. What did Mexico do? When those tariffs came on Mexico, Mexico tariffed China, and end of story. You might like it or not like it, but this has happened. And Mexico came in line with the USA straight away. And the Chinese influence got this thing. Second, he sent Marco Rubio to Panama. Yeah, okay, and then he squeezed Panama politically. And what happened? Panama said, "Fine, we'll do it." First and foremost, they said any US military movement will have priority over Panama Canal. And the reason is simple. And the reason is very simple. I mean, you have to understand why Panama Canal. Either end of Panama Canal, and I'll explain that to you a little. What two ports called Balboa and Cristobal, they were being controlled by China, C.K. Hutchinson. And I'll talk of that also. Look, so he went, squeezed Panama, and told Panama, look, we built this. Panama was no country. It was part of Colombia earlier. USA built the canal and made Panama. He said, you can't survive like this. I'm going to sort you out. They caved in. As a result, what they did was, of course, the Chinese gave them a lot of leeway in that because the Chinese had bribed Panama people. And it was an open thing. So they just took those evidence of the bribes, went to the court, their own court, and the court has now ruled that the deals either end of Panama with C.K. Hutchison is out. No more. And the whole story is held in abeyance. What is clear is C.K. Hutchison has lost control over Panama. China has lost control over Panama. Now those ports are stuck with C.K. Hutchison in some form, almost nationalized. And I'll come to that a little more because that you have to understand there's a bit of a jiggery puggery involved in this story. Okay. And then after that, we know what happened with the Venezuela and then Colombia and Peru and all that. Okay. Now let me go by this thing. Okay. Now let me explain the Panama thing because the Panama thing, from there I'll go to Venezuela, from there I'll go to the rest. Okay. Now what happened? And we'll also talk of the others. What happened in this Panama deal? I mean, the story. I have to go back into Panama Canal. This is Panama Canal. You see, this is the Caribbean end. This is the north, and this is the Pacific Ocean end. Okay, it comes down like this, or whichever way you like it. Right? Now there's a port called Cristobal here, and there's a port called Balboa. What happens here is ships come, they leave their things in all these, okay, and push off. They don't wait because there are only a certain number of ships can go through. Now, when Balboa and Cristobal, these are transshipped into other ships, Chinese owned, Chinese operated. Not Chinese operated really, it is Lakasheng. He's a millionaire. No, he's a billionaire based out of Hong Kong, but China has a hand in it. CK Hutchison ports. So they take this through, and from the other side, it goes off to its destination. It's a transshipment point. Like both are transshipment points. Okay. These transshipment points regulate flow through the Panama Canal. So they were controlling the Panama Canal. So if it was Chinese goods, they would go through. Others would have to wait. Even Americans had to wait, and it costs. If your thing is there, it costs. So the Chinese were milking money from everyone else. So the first thing that they said was tuck out. So when Marco Rubio went last year and put a case, and the state put a case against this in the Supreme Court, the state, the Adjutant General or of Panama. Okay, so not the Adjutant General, the Accountant General, AG. So he put, and Panama court has now ruled, okay, by you are out. Now, what happened in between was when the government put pressure on, US government put pressure on Panama. Panama put pressure on CK Hutchison, and then they came up with the conglomeration of BlackRock and one Italian conglomerate. They said, okay, you sell Hutchison Holdings off. And CK Hutchison was ready to sell them off. So that deal involved these two ports plus 43 other ports. Plus 43 other ports. Okay. Now China came in. They said, no, we'll not allow it. Because China's got a hand in it. They said, we'll not allow. So the whole thing got stayed. Now what has happened? Now after the you know court has said that the deal is no more. I mean, not deal. CK Hutchison is no more. Maersk has been brought into the scene as a holding company. They'll continue till the whole liquidation of those ports are done in a manner, or transfer of that those two ports. This is Cristobal and Balboa are done as per whatever corporate law, whatever, as per the sale proceeds. But now what has happened? CK Hutchison wants to sell the rest. No one is there to buy. As a result, CK Hutchison Holdings will suffer a loss for the 43 other ports. Now, piece by piece, as I see it, as it goes, we'll not even come to know because we won't be discussing it. CK Hutchison will have to sell all those ports at virtually a loss, or rather, he would have got a better deal. He would have got go down. In the end, and China will struggle for this. Let's be clear. Uh, China would have lost control of many of these ports because they will go into BlackRock or that Italian thing or whoever. So China is out of this deal. Okay. Now, throughout, when I talk of all this, keep in mind what's happening here to China and what's happening globally to China and what's happening internally to China. And then you see what I keep saying how China is getting sorted out. Okay, so as I said, CK Hutchison was supposed to or tipped to sell the remaining ports, but BlackRock and MSC Holdings, which is the Italian firm, are saying sorry, we'll not take it now because we wanted Christopher and Balboa and of course the rest of the ports, but that is now in a legal tangle till such time the court has ruled and put Maersk in. But how that is going to get liquidated, how it's going to translate it, all that we don't know. We are not interested. So if all this is not interested, their rates will fall. So China, like a fool, went and put its foot in when CK Hutchison had a good deal. It tried, it's gone. China thought it can influence Panama. Why? I mean, I now again go back. When Panama Canal was given first this to CK Hutchison, they took it over open bidding and all that, and they took it. When it came to renewal, Xi Jinping went to Panama, and people bribed people, and that was a shady deal. They got an extension. Now is the whole CK Hutchison holding is holding Panama Canal on an extension, which is that is what has come into legal question. So that's gone. Now, does it stop here? It doesn't stop here. It doesn't stop here. Now I'll have to go back to this map. Have a look at this map very closely again. Right? Now, okay, so this is what happened in Panama. Panama has gone out of China's control. Mexico already, I said, has gone out. Okay? Long back. I mean, I wouldn't say they're out of it, but the Chinese influence which was there earlier has been whittled down. Okay. Now we know what happened in Venezuela. Last month, they went in Venezuela, China out of Venezuela completely. Okay. Now, after that, what happened? That's the interesting thing. After that, immediately Colombia, which is next door to Venezuela, right, started jumping up and down. Okay. Now, that fellow went. Okay, that I don't think I have that. Okay. Anyway, I didn't get that thing. Gustavo Petro, who was the president of Colombia, he started bad mouthing uh, Trump. And it lasted exactly 48 hours. After that, he called Trump. They made a deal. Now, Colombia, which is a leftist government, is fallen in line with whatever USA wants. Okay, so that next domino to fall. So, how many dominoes have fallen? Mexico, Panama, Venezuela, Colombo. Cuba is under tremendous pressure today. Any day, many people feel that Cuba could be the next Taiwan for USA. After all, Cuba is just away 80 kilometers or 100 kilometers away from Florida. The thought process was Cuba should be made into another Taiwan. And that would have happened if the grip on Venezuela was there and Colombo would have been taken in, and Venezuela was enabled to take over Guyana. Guyana is here. In which case, northern tip of northern, thing of South America, if it was in China's control, then Cuba could have been the Taiwan for USA. Now that Trump has turned the tables, Cuba couldn't fall anytime. If it doesn't fall, well, good luck. It's going to be there. No one's going to help it. China sent some rice and all that, but that rice is hardly anything for, it's more interesting. Peru, Chanke port. So we'll get to that. Understand this. No, last year, this is the port which I'm showing in here. This is called Chanke port. This Chanke port is a huge multi-billion-dollar deal for which China invested completely. Part owning, ye, wo. So last year, they made it a mega port, new China built, ye, wo, all that new era in China and road ambitions, belt and road ambitions, and ye, wo, all that. After Venezuela has fallen, after Panama has gone, this is it. Latest from South China Morning Post. Will Peru's Chanque port be the next Panama moment for China? They're worried. Just think, just think if that port goes and Peru tomorrow nationalizes that port based on some charges and USA leans on that. Where does China stand? Okay, which means they would have been eclipsed completely from this bit. Brazil. Brazil is also seeking a way out. That's why it's coming to India. Of course, it's taking a way out from USA also because Brazil is also at 50%. But at the right time, knowing Mr. Trump, he'll switch and tell Brazil come this side. So all this is happening at this point of time. So if you see in this thing, China has been completely eclipsed from Latin America. It's on the verge of being completely eclipsed in Middle East. If Iran falls, and if Iran goes the way what I outlined to you, then China has lost presence in Middle East completely. As it is when the Israel-Iran war took place, end of story. China was not there anywhere. We remember that. Okay, so there also they've lost. So see the influence which is going of China off. The Arctic routes, if Greenland is caught, uh, or some deal is done in Greenland, the Arctic route closes for China. It'll be very difficult to operate for China to operate in the Arctic route. Not now, in future. Where does it leave China? And combine all this loss of influence with what's happening in China internally with Zhang Yuxia and Liu Xunli, it's not done. It's as the way I read it, that thing is getting worse by the day. I'll talk of that separately because that's a full blown analysis. It'll take me an hour plus to explain to all of you what's happening in China today. It's not so simple. In fact, I wanted to speak about it, I couldn't because I found too many angles and I didn't know how to put it. I have not got clarity of thought how to put it across. I know what's happening, but so overall, are we seeing the real, first signs of Chinese decline? My view is yes. A decline started long back. The influence of China, is it declining? So there is a problem. And now see what's happened in Baluchistan. Okay. And now that will twist Pakistan's tail. Whether you like it or not, it's going to twist. But most importantly, it will twist China's tail. So Chinese influence is getting eroded. So, in fact, the other day I read Nitin Gokhale's article. He'd gone to Bangladesh, spent 2 3 days, and came back. He says one thing which is absent is Chinese influence there. American influence is there very much. Western influence is there, not Chinese influence. So things are changing. Okay, things are changing. So where does India come in? That's the whole story, no? India's gain. I must show you India's gain also. Here, this clip has come out today. What does he say? And you know, then I'll link up things. Right.
So do you think China's going to get their money back from all the money they lent to Venezuela? I don't know. I don't know.
So the question is, will China get all the money which they've lent to Venezuela? Trump very nicely says, I don't know. Okay? Further.
But I'll tell you what, China is welcome to come in and to make a great deal on oil.
Now he says China is welcome to make a great deal on oil. He's welcome to come in and make a great deal on oil on open rates, not the discounted rates. Okay?
China, we've already made a deal. India is coming in and they're going to be buying Venezuelan oil as opposed to buying it from Iran. So we've already made that deal, the concept of the deal. But China's welcome to come in.
So he says India is going to come in. We've made the concept of the deal and we're going to go through with it. Twist. Of course, here he said that is, that then it will give them off, put them off Iran oil, but I suppose he meant Russian oil. So you see, things are changing, and you see two things in this. I'll talk of the Venezuelan oil because we have an interest in it. We'll talk, but the fact is, Mr. Trump says he wants India. Without India, his Venezuela program won't go through. Understand this. Why? If you remember, his own companies were hesitant to go into Venezuela and invest. Except Chevron, no one else had interest to go there. Because Chevron continued working in Venezuela. Now, when Venezuelan oil was sanctioned, Indian interests were killed. We were taking oil from there. And we have assets out there. Those will get revived now. That's what he's talking. So, who will revive? Who will be most easy to revive? I'll come to the facts and figures. India, because we have interest there. We have 2 oil wells there. And so, interestingly, the Venezuela thing is playing out for us. Also, remember, our footprint in Latin America will increase. Guyana is our friend. Venezuela also, people have started talking. I'll come to that. It's very interesting. And Brazil, next month, that man is coming. Lula is coming to India. What's wrong with it? Whichever way you look at it, you throw this ball up and it's falling, it suits India. So we say, okay, Trump doesn't like India, all that. Fine, I have no problem. Whether he likes India or not, it doesn't matter. He can't do without India. If the Venezuela deal has to succeed, he needs India. Because his own companies are not prepared to go. If India goes and leads the way in, others might come in. And then Venezuela will become a complete victory for Trump. So far, it's not. I mean, in a way it is, but his end state in Venezuela is not yet reached. Okay. Now, here comes the kicker. This is the kicker. 2 days back, our Prime Minister and Delcy Rodriguez, the acting president of Venezuela, had a talk. And they put out a tweet. Our Prime Minister put out a 2-line tweet. But the interesting thing here is this lady, Delcy Rodriguez, she puts out this tweet. This is the one with this picture. See, this is Conversation Telefonica. What does she say? I had a I had a fraternal telephone conversation. That's they're saying I had a brotherly telephone conversation with the Prime Minister of Republic of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, in a dialogue of deep human and spiritual connection. What is the spiritual connection? Puttaparthi Sai Baba. This lady comes to Puttaparthi Sai Baba every year. She's a devotee there. Not only she gets half their cabinet. Venezuelan people come to Puttaparthi for every year for Matate going. Interesting, isn't it? Right? In a dialogue of deep human and spiritual connection, in which we agreed to deepen and expand our bilateral partnership in all areas. Okay, I thank the supportive support of the government and people of India to our country. Prime Minister Modi reiterated his willingness to accompany the Venezuelan people in defending their peace, sovereignty, and independence. We addressed strategic cooperation in energy, agriculture, science, technology, pharmaceutical industry, mining, automotive, tourism, and agreed to advance a common roadmap to relaunch our relations in 2026. They want to relaunch relations. Yellow. China out, India in. At least in Venezuela. Same thing will happen in Brazil soon. Guyana. You get, you look at things how they're happening. So, okay. Now let's see a bit of a nitty gritty of this Venezuela business. We are looking at a new deal. This is what is being spoken of. Why? To replace Russian crude. So, and it's okay for me. I need cheap crude. Venezuela will give me. And that's what this report also says. Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke with Venezuela's acting president. And Delcy Rodriguez has switched. She said to hell with Maduro, तुमने जो मदुरो के साथ करना है कर लो, मेरे को यहाँ प्रेसिडेंट बना लो और मचाडो को आउट कर दो. उनका अपना डील है. And she is running, the same government is running. Now the only thing is that government is working with Trump. Earlier, the same Maduro government was not working with us. They are working now with us. She's found a deal, yeah? Deal. Art of the deal. This is a fact. Now, if India goes there and we stabilize things, you're indispensable for USA. What is our interest? Refining compatibility. Our refineries are compatible with Venezuelan oil. We went and we drilled there, we got oil out and made our refineries compatible to that heavy sulfur oil. That same thing which are you using from other places. You have assets out there for 500 million. 500 million is $500 million locked of OVL and Oil India and IOC and ONGC Videsh. Same, two. They're talking here in this San Cristobal and Carababo. Two wells are, oil fields are ours. We are majority. It's virtually sovereign to us. Unfortunately, in this entire game of tariffs and China, India, we were kicked out. Now we're getting back. हमें क्या है? We need energy, yeah? And we're getting energy. Right? And of course, there is a trade concept, everything. We were getting 300,000 barrels per day. The deal is conceptually in place. We know that now. I mean, that even Trump has agreed. So, what's our gain? What's our loss? It's our gain, isn't it? So, you see how things have moved. Okay, if this half goes through, the next step is what? US India trade deal. If US India trade deal goes through and the oil thing is put in place, and if tomorrow Iran falls and Iran oil comes, I keep saying this. If Iran oil comes into the market, the best thing to happen is we can get oil from Iran next door. And in which case, Chabahar gets opened up, Afghanistan gets opened up. I do hope Trump succeeds in Iran in some manner. In some manner. Of course, he will control global oil. Let's be very clear. He'll control global oil. But he also needs to sell that global oil and control all that. Whom is he after? See, the end effect of all this is China. He's very clear that I told you 1 year back. China, uska aim China hai. So he's doing that. He's doing that. He's got no enmity with India. It's just that Nobel Prize business. Otherwise, he's okay with India. It's not that we're going to resume our relationship. No, we should be wary. Now, once bitten, twice shy, we should be away from him. But please remember, this whole story shows that, look, you can't get away without India. If you want to shut out China, you need India. Now, everyone will fall in place. This will give a little jetka to Russia also. Then Russia then will say, okay, please take more oil. Yeah, then you say, okay, yeah. Why are you giving engines to Pakistan? Jet engines. Stop that first. I'm very clear. Russia might be my best friend. Stop jet engines to Pakistan first. You want to entry and all that? We'll talk. You need money. We'll give you money. We'll give you orders for jet engines. Don't make for them, give it to us. Or you have a deal with Russia. You promise them everything, let them strike deals, and don't give them engines. So all these, right, are all there in the mix. Okay. So I just thought I'll put this up to you. We are on a good wicket. And I just focused on this part of the story, which I don't think many would have got the connections. But the connection is working out well for us overall. Right? With this, thank you. I'll stop here because this was designed to be a short one to start with. Uh, we'll talk of the budget. We'll talk of the defense budget and all that. And I'll also sometime down the line and explain to you what's the deal in Iceland. I'll also explain to you what's happening in China. What's happening in China is very significant. People are not getting a hang. I don't see that in the international thing. Some guys talk of it, but not everyone has, uh, you know. But I'll talk of it. We'll talk of it one of these days. I'll explain. Right. With this, I'll take a few questions. To start with, thanks a lot, Dr. Sondur, DG Sondur, for joining me as a member. Honored, right? Let me say, okay, with declining demography, economy, and internal political turmoil, can China pursue anti-India activities in India's neighborhood? Yes, it has to. It will. That's its history. Historically, that's been its problem. So we'll be fools to put our guard down. Okay. I don't think EU will give full tech to India. Look, this is a trade deal. It's not a tech deal. You have to make your own technology. Okay. Yeah. Can you compare Z's purge of PLA with Stalin's purge of Red Army before? Yeah, I'll do that. One of the things, it starts there. It starts with him. How they finished off to this chap, Tukarev, not Tukachevsky. Okay, Tukachevsky, one of the most professional Red Army guys. He was finished off. But I'll talk of that later. Don't be in a hurry. Okay. Um US wants omnipresent bases, omnipresent military, yeah, all that. Look, you say we should think seriously what it would mean for the world. I'm very clear whether what to hell with everyone. I should be clear what it means for me. What does it mean for me? You see, people are painting Trump as a failure, US as a failure, and all. I have always been saying, don't do that mistake. Don't judge USA by whatever is happening current. USA is a capitalist country which has got a immense potential to take risks and succeed also. Right. So be careful about it. Okay. Today in SCMP, China focus on strong yuan and US protect petrodollar. There are two main adversaries. Deco, now they are into propaganda. That the fact is China is a big economy. It will slowly whittle down. It's not going to collapse. I've said this, but the collapse will be slow. It's happening. I'll be worried if it collapses overnight. If it goes down overnight, then we have a problem. If Russia gives more discounts, we will buy more oil. Yeah, we can't do that. There's no harm. Look, it's a buyer's market. You can do what you want. Yeah, these are additionals. I'm not touched upon our entire energy sector. After all, why did we have the India Energy Week? We just finished it to secure our energy. You can get it from wherever you want. No harm. Yeah, Guyana also we had a deal. I agree with you. Right? Are we going to reduce oil from Russia? Yes. Why not? Why should you? Why should you get dependent on Russian oil? I'll give the flip question. Why should I get dependent on Russian oil? Okay. Too much dependency is bad. At that time we needed, fine, everything is done. Let's normalize. We've never had so much dependency on one source, that to a sanctioned source. We've taken the risk, we've done it, reduce it, and get diversify. If Venezuela is giving you oil, which is your oil virtually, you 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 have to run that place and you have to buy it. It's yours. Why not? Why should I buy from Russia? And Guyana is important. Our Prime Minister went to Guyana recently, about 5-6 months back. I covered that. He went to 3-4 places. He went to Brazil, he went to Guyana, and he went to Namibia and some other place. Or Namibia or Zimbabwe, one of the two places he went. I remember that. Yeah, Trump also said in his speech after capturing the China can Venezuela. Amitesh, did you understand? That fellow, which means that per barrel, China has to pay $20 more or $30 more. That's the crunch on China. तो बड़ा पेसिमिस्ट आदमी है यार, तेरा दिमाग भी थोड़ा टेढ़ा है, बट आता है, बात करता हूँ. ओके. Are Trump, are Baluch drilling Pakistan for oil? That Trump. That's a good joke. Okay. Yeah. Akash, good evening. Yeah. Yeah. The general public of Europe only thinks that cheap Indian labor will go to Europe and take over Europe, and that sentiment. We'll see that all these sentiments for them to sort it out. Let them sort it out. Why are you bothered? Yeah, view on Bangladesh opening flight routes via Pakistan to India. To Pakistan via India. Yeah, that is Bangladesh. See, Bangladesh flights, there's no ban on flights. So it will be Biman which will go across. It's there. We'll talk of it. We know. See, one shouldn't get too worried about Bangladesh. We'll see what happens in Bangladesh 1 week hence from now. Today is first. We're talking of 12th is their elections. We'll see how things. Yeah, yeah. What are your views on defense budget? तुम्हारा one track brain है. We'll talk of it later. Our recent trade deal with EU is not being taken positively by common people in UK, Europe. The UK and US YouTubers are trying to disrupt this deal by saying Indians are going to take. That's normal. That's their headache. Let them do. We said no. Expect this kind of a thing from USA. Yeah, we should make China dependent on India. Give them alternate CPC route from China to India's Gujarat port. Then talk to them and solve like hell. We are not interested in this. You seem to be a Chinese guy, yeah. The way I look at it. Um, do a Chinese intelligence on podcast on Chinese intelligence agency. Waste of time. Test bed should be independent Indian located for Tejas India. Okay, we'll talk of that. Um, okay, I think we've done. Okay, Vinay Rao. So we manage Trump tariffs. We are containing Pak Bangladesh support from US. What else can Trump throw at us before the end of his term for leverage that we need to proactively work on? See, what he can throw at you or not is a different thing. What I've said, the reality is that if China he shuts off, he needs India. Without that, it can't be done. Many things in the Middle East he'll need India, especially with the way UAE is going, Iran is going. He needs India. Israel, you still have. Then Latin America, he needs India. So he can't throw much more. Whatever is thrown, is thrown. As per the Republicans' rhetoric, इंडिया इज द नंबर वन एनिमी दैट्स ओके वो रिटोरिक चेंज हो जाएगा अभी आप बात तो देखो कुछ दिन में वो भी चेंज हो जाएगा yeah I think we've done yeah Bangladesh elections less than a fortnight by 12th no so we'll talk of it then okay I think we're done for the day thanks a lot for joining in I made it a short one especially because I have a commitment which I have to go that's why I started early at 7 o'clock normally I do it at 8 I have to go out and meet people so yeah I think this is what I like what he says I think we should not take realism to extreme when we start thinking of only short term gains and be transactional from a relationship we must balance short term pros with long term cons and final yeah I think so find balance that's the most important thing we have to find balance so far we've been successful and I'm sure we'll be successful going ahead I'm very confident and I'm very confident because of the democratic strength of India is very good, right? Okay, uh, with this, I think Trump is in a policeman mode and India is an admin. No, it's not so. It's not so. See, why you have to also understand why did India and USA get into a strategic partnership? It's not a funny thing. For 24 years, you've developed a partnership because there are converging interests, global interests. Okay. It will be heresy for me to talk about it at this point when Trump is, this thing. But eventually, India and US have to come together. It, you don't have a choice. You leave Trump out of it, you have to get together. Whether we will get back together in the way it was, say, before Trump is a different story. You don't have a choice. We don't have a choice. I mean, this is not because I like USA or USA likes me type. No. This is realistic. This is where we are. You can't wish away 3 million of our Indians staying there. They'll not come back. Let's be very clear, right? No. Okay. So we'll see how things happen. We should see for the short and the long term, how do we navigate? You're going to have problems, we'll handle it. Okay, with this, thanks a lot. And till tomorrow morning, we'll see what Mr. Shreyer has got in his packet. We'll talk of it tomorrow. Till then, have a great day and Jai Hind to all of you.